Right, I'm back. I only have 15 minutes to wrap this up, so I'll try to do it in one take and continue the rest of my day. Remember the episode when I was talking about sleep and how it's important to get it in a good rhythm and all that stuff? I couldn't. But I did have a lot of time to think about things and stuff in these past few weeks. That's why I've been silent with my weekly updates, and I'm realizing how much of a full-time job this shit is, content creation and providing value and all that stuff. And there's all this strife between what I think is valuable and what's perceived to be valuable, production quality, being consistent. All this stuff is just weighs heavy on my conscience. And yeah, as a result, I sometimes am not the best, so forgive me. But I will try to keep it simple and raw and not a lot of production value, and try to provide insight with these speeches. Now, if you want to look at someone's ideas or the quality of their ideas, it's better to actually look at their writing rather than their speech, because in writing we can organize ideas succinctly in a better way. We think about how to deliver, which words to use, and all this kind of stuff. But the more, this is the best freaking chair I've ever sat in, by the way. Rick lines. Anyway, so I did think about what to talk about today in my journal, which I try to keep every single day. It's a little brain dump thing, but I do go back to it and make some notes. Listening, because in the sleep video I changed my mind. I was going to talk about how I'm observing less and less true listening, and speaking to a very valuable person lately made me realize your undivided attention with no judgment, and you're not thinking about what to say next. That kind of listening is one of the most valuable things you can give anybody. Your time and attention is your most valuable thing, but to not just give your time and attention, but also immersing yourself in what the person is saying is probably the most valuable thing that you can give anybody. And you have to be really careful who you give this to, because not everyone is aware of how precious that is. So they will just use it however they want it, or they won't even use it. They'll just dismiss it. I don't know. You really need to be careful with who you give your time to, because it's the most valuable currency there is. So Alan Watts's little quote.
But if you talk all the time, you'll never hear what anybody else has to say. And therefore all you'll have to talk about is your own conversation. The same is true for people who think all the time. That means, when I use the word think, talking to yourself. Subvocal conversation, the constant chit-chat of symbols and images and talk and words inside your skull. Now, if you do that all the time, you'll find that you've nothing to think about except thinking. And just as you have to stop talking to hear what others have to say, you have to stop thinking to find out what life is about.
And our thoughts, which are racing a mile a minute, are yanking at our attention and our energy in several different ways. And the antidote to this is to slow down. So I took a note over here. Through sitting down, we create a space between thoughts, like taking your thought speed down to 0.5x, like slowing it down. So there's a bit more room for you to become aware of the stories and the voices in your head and so on. The benefit comes when you even just sit down for a couple minutes, lay down, not even sit down, you can lay down and prove yourself that you do not need to rush, that you have enough time, and see this over the course of a week, maybe a couple weeks, is going to give you tremendous benefit. Rushing is, again, the modus operandi for a lot of people, a lot of city-dwelling. I gotta get the money, time is money, I hear some friends, some acquaintances, people I've met throughout the years of my life, how kind of distressed and depressed they are, you know? Just yesterday night, I was lying down, like writing my yesterday's entry, and this was more about, you know, things that, you know, cultivating self-expression, and this is actually pretty good. I'll read this one to you. So expressing yourself is to stay true to yourself, and the desire to engage with people isn't driven from outcome, but to be at peace with yourself. Not to make friends, not to make a podcast episode. You just get to a point which you're very close to talking to anybody like you're talking to your mom or your dad or your friends. You know, when you're talking to your friends, you're just very, very comfortable. Just that, you have that comfort with anybody. So this cultivating of self-expression will make you learn and grow, is one bit, and then I start talking about something else. But going back to rushing and... Oh, right, I was telling you this story. See how my fucking mind works? This is a good example. So I was writing these lines yesterday night. It's maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, and I hear like a loud knock, and I was like, I know what's going on, because I had done laundry earlier that day and used the laundry hanger thing. There's just one laundry hanger on this part of the apartment building that I live in, and I didn't want to buy another one. There's already one over there. I'm assuming it belongs to the gentleman, my neighbor next door. So I just keep using it, you know? Why not? I'm not gonna buy another one. There's already one. I'll wait for my turn, you know? We're not constantly doing laundry. Like, we were taking turns, and we didn't even speak. I didn't even meet the guy. So this was, I thought that this was agreed, and he was fine with it, and, you know, it's no biggie. Anyway, so door's knocked. I opened the door, and the guy's like, "You taking a piss, man? The fuck is this, man? Like, why are you fucking using my..." Because he had this duvet cover, you know, he had his blanket, and it was drying, and I felt a lot of different parts, and I thought it was dry enough, so I just folded it up and placed it underneath the drying rack. So, I mean, I assumed that you just like look around and see, you know, and then I continued to put my wet clothes, which were in the washing machine for quite a long time, because I got distracted yesterday with all the things I needed to do. And then I had more things to do, so when I brought it back home, I just put it on my bed, all these wet clothes, and now they're not as clean as I would like them to be. But anyway, this guy was just like shouting, he's drunk, you know, he's like, I can smell the alcohol off of him, and I was like, yeah, sorry, dude. Sorry, like, I thought that it wasn't a big deal. I apologize. I'll fucking clean your shit again. I'll hang it up there. I'll, you know, like, we'll find a way. You know, you don't need to get that upset. And then, you know, like, talking for 5 minutes, he just realized, he was like, yeah, I overreact sometimes. I'm sorry. Like, we can use it together. See, like, a lot of people are just so distressed about life, because their mind is like racing a mile a minute. They're usually okay with a lot of things, but they need to be confronted with calmness to get that part of their brain activated, or that way of reacting to be that norm in that particular situation. So sitting down is, I also asked him, I was like, do you sit down for a minute, you know, like in your daily life, just to slow down, because we're so many thoughts that we can't even keep up with, we can't even make sense of, is yanking our attention in multiple different places. And even sitting up straight with good posture for 20 minutes will dissipate your stress and lower your cortisol. No matter what there's nothing to achieve in this, by the way. There's no, you don't feel like you've taken psychedelics, you don't feel eternal bliss, and you're not like, there's nothing to achieve, nothing to do. You just enjoy slowing down. When you look at successful people, which I do a lot, long-term good things rarely come from rushing and racing. If you're never willing to slow down, you end up doing a lot of trivial/unimportant things really quickly and really well. But the risk with doing unimportant and trivial things is that you get really good at doing unimportant things, and you will want to do more of the same. You will want to double down on the trivial, unimportant things and less important stuff. So it seems like there is one law. This is a completely different stream of thought, but this is how I write. At least I have like some partings. And the one law is love. It sounds even similar. With all your thoughts, your mind, and your soul. If you look at all these big figures that everyone recognizes, like Buddha, Jesus, and Muhammad, they're all ambassadors of love. And loving your neighbor, I mean the people around you, as yourself. If you've achieved self-love, great, now do the same with other people. When you violate the law, if you judge someone secretly in your mind, if you have a nasty negative attitude, you are violating the law of love, and the law of love must violate you to return back to perfect balance, because the universe is perfect. We can quantify everything. Everything's mathematics. It's wonderful and perfect. If we were 1 millimeter closer to the sun, we would burn. If we were 1 millimeter further, we would freeze. So in that sense, everything is perfect. And there are a few things that we can do in our daily life to reflect the perfectness of this law of love. One is to use others as a mirror. Everything that you get a reaction from is things that you should be working on. Everything that you love or every good feeling that you get from other people is what reflects that you already have. Two is the mindfulness and the intentionality of every single moment. And three is to sustain trust, which means gratitude and having that attitude just throughout your day life. That's it.